Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Suno Kahani. So today we are going to read chapter 5 of Red Flags and Rishtas. A meal with the devil. Well, this is awkward. Adar Chauhan at the rate stellarspirits.co.in to Ananya. Hi, I didn't expect to bump into you here, but I'm hoping we can keep things professional. Think you can do that. Regards, Adar Chauhan, Senior Marketing Manager, Stellar Spirits India. Reply. Well, this is awkward. Ananya Kapoor at the maingeneral.co.in to Adar. Okay, cut the BS. You can't seriously expect me to believe this is purely coincidental. You have bumped into me quite a few times now. Are you a stalker, Mr. Adar Chauhan? P.S. Of course I can keep it professional. How dare you question my work ethic? Best. Ananya Kapoor, Events Manager, the Main General. Reply. Well, this is awkward. Adar Chauhan @stellarspirits.co.in to Ananya. Oh wow, so we're down. Alright. First of all, I'm not sure how you can call yourself a professional while throwing wild accusations at me. I have neither the time nor the desire to stalk you. And yeah, it's not complete coincidence, it's just bad luck. Your biodata indicated that you worked here and I looked up the website. It gave me an idea, a professional one, but believe me, I had no idea I would actually have to interact with you, or I would have never gone ahead with this. Your biodata said you were a manager. I assumed that was a senior admin type of role. I guess I was wrong. So if your childish games are over, can we go back to the group email? Regards, Adar Chauhan, Senior Marketing Manager, Stellar Spirits. Reply. Well, this is awkward. Ananya Kapoor at the maingeneral.com.in to Adar. I see. That's a great story you have got there. But for a record, I don't believe one word of it, but because I'm a professional, I am willing to put it aside for all the future intents and purpose. I am an event manager, not a junior manager. Best, Ananya Kapoor, event manager, the main general. Reply. Introductions. Samar Khanna at stellarspirits.co.in to Ananya. Pooja Ghai, the main general.co.in. Ryan Pinto, the main general.co.in. Adar Chauhan at stellarspirits.co.in. Hari Sharma at stellarspirits.co.in. Hi Ananya, it's pleasure to connect with you. We are thrilled to initiate this partnership with the main channel and are really looking forward to the upcoming event. Could you kindly arrange for a visit to the venue so Adar from our team can wet the bar also? Do let me know how we can proceed with the paperwork. Regards, Samar Khanna, Marketing Head, Stellar Spirits India. Reply. Introduction. Ananya Kapoor at the maingeneral.co.in to Samar. Pooja Ghai, Ryan Pinto, Samar Khanna, Hari Sharma. Hello, it's great to meet you too. Very excited to see where this goes. I'm actually going to the restaurant for a race tomorrow and I would be happy to send you photos and videos of the bar. There is no need for your colleague to come down there. I'm attaching the contact with this email. Do let me know if you have any question about it. You can e-sign it and send it back to me afterwards. Best, Ananya Kapoor, event manager, the main general. Reply. Introduction. Adar Chauhan to Ananya. Pooja Ghai at the maingeneral.com in. Rayan Pinto at the rate maingeneral.co.in. Samar Khanna at the rate stellarspirits.co.in. Hari Sharma at the rate stellarspirits.co.in. Hi Ananya, I appreciate the offer, but it's impressive that I see the venue in person. In order to avoid any logistic last minute issue, I can make tomorrow work. Although I am meeting until 5 p.m. Shall we meet there at 6? We can also exchange the paperwork there itself. Hope that works. Regards, Adar Chauhan, Senior Marketing Manager, Stellar Spirits India. Reply. Introductions. Ananya Kapoor, the maingeneral.com.in to Adar. Pooja Ghai at the maingeneral.co.in. Ryan Pinto at the maingeneral.co.in. Samar Khanna at stellarpoints.co.in. Hari Sharma at the stellarspirit.co.in. Hi, of course I understand. I will see you there at 6 p.m. Below is the address FIR Lee Cloud 36. Defense Colony, Delhi. Google Maps link here. Best, Ananya Kapoor, event manager, the main general. Reply. Well, this is awkward. Ananya Kapoor, the maingeneral.co.in to Adar. Thanks for ruining my week. I hate you. Best, Ananya Kapoor, events manager, the main general. Today could have been the best Tuesday in the history of Tuesdays. A half day, a free menu tasting at Lay Cloud, followed by a date with an undecided but hopefully cute stranger. Instead, I was stuck at work all the day, painfully watching the clock tick. I don't help that I was battling an excruciating hangover after work yesterday. I had filled to V's place to fill her about the latest about the latest bothersome developments in my life, and we could decide the only solution was to drink a bottle of wine each and stalk my pre-predator, pre-predator, pre-petroter on Instagram. Sorry. Adar had a private profile, so we sent him a request from his account, and voila, he accepted within 10 minutes. Why wouldn't he? The don't talk to stranger rule didn't apply if the stranger in question was a stunning woman. Men are so predictable. We should not have gone to tell all the trouble, though there was not so much on his profile. He had not posted anything in months, and his grand total of 8 posts consisted of album covers, a scene, black and white snapshots of the city, and a few group photos from the birthdays and family functions. There was one photo that stood out, a post from 2015. It was a hazy Polaroid of a young girl smiling slyly at the camera. There was no caption. Within that, I went to drink until 2 a.m., debating every possible conspiracy theory about who Adar Chauhan was and why he was suddenly everywhere. My personal favorite was that he was a con man trying to rob me of my riches like Ranveer Singh in Ladies vs. Ricky. Well, of course, I didn't have any riches to be robbed of. I rested my forehead on the wooden desk, groaning lightly. My head was throbbing at the office I had just consumed had made it worse. I desperately wanted this workday to be over, but I was also not looking forward to what lay ahead. I kept refreshing my inbox every few minutes, hoping that he would email me to cancel, but I didn't hear a peep out of him all day, which is how I found myself staring at my reflection in the glass doors outside Lake Cloud at 6:05 p.m. I looked terrible. My hair was dehydrated and extra frizzy. There were dark circles under my eyes, and my shoulders were slumped like a 70 years old. The semi formal plaid dress I had thrown on this morning, hoping it would be my redeeming quality, had acquired a visible coffee stain over the course of the day. I'm so not prepared for this, I thought as I pushed the door open. A whiff of cold air hit me as I stepped inside, a welcome escape from the pre-sunset heat. A narrow but a long lane lead to the main sitting area. Yellow lanterns were suspended from the ceiling, and symbols from French history hung on the wall. I stopped to examine the area, trying to calculate if it could be converted into a photo booth. Just then, a man in a dark grey suit turned the corner. "Hello, you must be Ananya," he asked, stepping forward to greet me. We shook hands as he introduced himself and said, "I am Jerry, the manager here." Jerry was barely 2 inches taller than me, but he had a broad chest and big arms. He must have been in his 40s, but his smiling eyes took a few years of him. "Ananya from PMG, it's pleasure," I said, returning his smile. "Come, let me show you the place," he said, ushering me towards the entrance. I asked him to give me a minute and took out my phone to take photos of the alley. "Could we remove that podium from there?" I asked, pointing to the hostess stand at the end of the passage. "Of course, I'll get someone to move it right away," he said, not asking my thanks. "I just want to see if we can turn this place into a mini red carpet," I explained, and took a few photos of the area the podium occupied. "We could definitely fit one camera standing there," I concluded. The manager led me inside, where a waiter rushed to offer me a rose-tinted welcome drink. "Of course, our special cranberry fizz," Jerry said, pointing to the shot glass. I lifted the glass to my lip and sipped, aware of both men's eager eyes on me. I said, tittling my head in a surprise. "It's not sickly sweet," Jerry laughed, elated by my pleasure. "Yes, we don't add sugar or syrup in this. Takes the fun out of the cranberries, if you ask me." "I agree," I said, placing the glass back on the tray. I was relieved to see that the restaurant was as spacious as it had looked in the photos, and it had movable furniture, no booths. Thankfully, the wide walls with gold detailing stretched out in front of me, giving the space a hall-like look. The baby pink sofas matched the pink tulips at every table, and candlelights with swooping arms shone brightly above them. The bar was situated right at the entrance, which was not ideal, at least for us. We did not want the influencer running off to drink before they had a chance to pose with the car. The Stellar Spirits guys, of course, would be thrilled. Speaking, where was the man of the hour? What an ass, I thought. He had not had the decency to show up on time after changing my entire schedule. I took a few photos of the bar, listening to Jerry talk about the different cocktails they were thinking of parenting for the menu. "You will have to run the bar menu by Stellar Spirits. They are sponsoring the alcohol for the event," I said, proceeding to explain that someone from their team was supposed to be here today. "Oh, yes. I met with Adar, sir, right before you arrived," he said. "Oh, has he left already?" I asked, to try and hide my hopefulness in my voice. Jerry looked around and said, "I think he went out to take a call." A few seconds later, Adar walked in from the alley, sleeping in his phone inside his black trousers. He wore a white slim fit shirt, identical to the one his brother had worn at Saurav's party. I wondered if they shared clothes the way sisters usually did. He had a polite smile plastered on his face as he met us at the bar. on that did not quite reach his eyes. "You are late," he said to me as Jerry excused himself to help with the podium rearrangement. I scoffed. "I have been here for like 15 minutes." He checked his watch and said, "And it's 6:25, which means you are late." I rolled my eyes at him, asking him where he would be if he was so punctual. He ignored me, leaning on the bar top on peak at the bottles placed behind the counter. "We can't have more than two bartenders here," he said, switching to business mode. "That should not be a problem. It's a small event and the guest will be busy promoting the car for the most part anyways," I said. A part of me was still irked by his presence, but I had to remind myself that I was representing the main general. "And our whiskey," he said. He turned to look at me and said, "They also have to promote our whiskey." The light cast by the chandeliers gave his brown eyes an appealing golden glow. In fact, they looked like they had been dipped in single malt. "Well, they obviously can't directly promote whiskey or alcohol in general, but we will shoot them drinking at the bar, cheering, having fun, and all that with your branding in the background," I explained, and he nodded his approval. I left him to study the details of the bar and went on to explore the rest of the space. A chunk of the furniture would have to be cleared from the middle of the restaurant where the car would be displayed. Jerry showed me the wide back entrance through which the car would be brought inside. I documented every nook and corner of the restaurant on my phone, knowing I would have to create digital maps for Ryan's reference so he could brief the logistic team. He should have idly been here, but he was apparently still sick. I dreamed of the day when hangovers would be openly accepted as valid reason for sick leaves. A waiter showed me a food menu as I sat down at a table. It occurred me that I had not eaten anything solid all day, which was probably why my headache has persisted. I was dawdling over the names of the fancy French dishes when the chair opposite me was pulled back. I looked up to find a waiter unsharing Adar into the seat. "All good?" I asked, hoping he would not complain about things I could not fix. "Yeah, we can make it work," he said. "Perfect. So if you could just hand me the signed paperwork, I'll let you be on your way," I said, eager for him to leave me alone with my fancy food. He let out a low chuckle, shaking his head lightly. "I would love to be rid of you too, but I'm not quite done here yet," he said, dropping the facade of politeness. I leaned back and closed my arms. "Be rid of me? Please, you are the one who insisted on coming." I didn't say it, but the word stalker hung in the air between us. "Trust me, I have no interest in hanging out with you. This visit was purely professional." He placed his right ankle on his knee, looking irritatingly comfortable in his seat. "So why are you still here?" I raised an eyebrow accusingly. "I haven't tried out the bar menu yet," he shrugged. I stared at him, feeling the inside of my stomach rumble with post-hangover hunger. "Wait, you are going to drink right now?" I asked. "Why not? Are not you sampling their food? Perks of the job," he said, beaming. It took my overburdened brain a few seconds to realize what he meant. I was stuck with him for at least another hour. It felt like a gray area. Technically, we were both still working, but we did not have any obligation to do it together. I could have asked him to sit at a different table, or better, to the restaurant staff. Better still, just stand at the bar, but I know our lack of interaction would seem odd to the restaurant staff. The best option was to focus on my food and get out on here as soon as possible. Jerry came to our table a few minutes later and with a bar menu which he placed in front of Adar. "We are going to open for dinner to regular customers now, but I'll make sure we get your orders on priority," he said to us, his eyes twinkling in the light. "Thank you, Jerry. Could you get me a taste for each of these 5 appetizers?" I traced a finger down the small plate section. "And in veg." I flipped the page and pointed out 2 more appetizers. "Do keep the savings bite-sized. I don't have a huge appetite." I smiled at him. Adar raised his eyebrow without looking at me and mumbled clearly. I wanted to tell him off for slyly commenting on my body, but Jerry was still standing there, peering over Adar's shoulder as he contemplated between the cocktails. "Get me a 30 ml of whiskey sour and Manhattan and whiskey cocktail of the bartender's choice," he said, handing the menu back to Jerry. I was not bothered by the fact that he didn't ask me if I wanted a drink. This courteous behavior fit perfectly with his personality. Besides, I was swearing off drinking, or at least midweek drinking until further notice. We sat without speaking as guests began to trickle in. The chatter from the nearby tables heightened the silence between us, but we just sat there, willing each other to speak first. It was almost if we were in a staring contest, waiting for our opponent to blink. I caved first. "So, arranged marriage, huh?" I said, clearing my throat. He gave me a blank stare as he took a sip of water and said, "Really? That's what you decided to bring up? What would you rather discuss?" "My one night stand with your brother," I asked curtly. He refused to take the bait. "We don't have to talk at all," he said, pulling his phone out of his pocket. He began typing out a message, unbothered by the dirty look I was throwing his way. "Fine, two can play at this game." With a casual flick of my thumb, I unlocked my phone screen and pretended to look busy, but the barren wasteland of my notification could not offer the distraction I desperately sought. There were no urgent emails demanding my attention, no frantic texts clavering for a response. It was as if the universe had hit the mute button on my social media, leaving me stranded in this awkward theater without nothing but the sound of others' incensed tapping to keep me company. After a few seconds, acknowledging minutes of silence, I gave up. I slightly loudly to get his attention, and he finally looked up from his phone. I am genuinely curious. How did your parents convince you for this matchmaking gig? I asked, broaching the subject again, this time with more amiability. Amiability. I half expected him not to respond, but he asked, what makes you think I had to be convinced? I exhaled as a gust of air in surprise and placed my elbows on the table. Are you telling me that you, a modern, successful, reliably attractive guy, actually believe in the evil of an age-old patriarchal tradition? You find me attractive, huh? He asked, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. I said, debatably attractive. I huffed, feeling my cheeks grow hot. A waiter brought us a serving of pigs in a blanket, fish fingers, and mini avocado toast, and I was grateful for the interruption. He placed the drinks in the center, not knowing which one belonged to whom. Adar picked up the whiskey sour and took a sip, while I wasted no time in pouncing on the food. This is really good. Said more to myself than him as I took a bite of the fork sausage. Adar reached for one, and without thinking, I slapped his hand away. What are you doing? He asked, still eyeing the food. Why should I share my food if you are not sharing your drinks? I said before I could stop myself. Adar let out a chuckle, and I stuck my mouth with a fish finger, knowing how stupid this was. I sounded like a child, a battery one. Obviously, you can drink the whiskey. I'm not finishing all of this by myself on a weekday. He said, gesturing to the three glasses between us. Was this the way responsible adults behave? I drank a lot more than 90 ml last night, without a single ounce of worry about it being a weekday. No, thank you. I'm a little hangover, I admitted. Well, a good whiskey is a great cure for a hangover, he said, nudging the glass of Manhattan towards me. Was he calling for a ceasefire? I made a great show of reluctance, but took a sip anyway. The spirit burned my throat, and I cheered the taste of microsecond. Now can I eat? I'm starving, he asked as he handed over dramatically over the food. Between the two of us, we wiped off the appetizers within a minute. I gestured to a waiter to order the main course tasters. He noted down my order and assured us he would back soon. What about you? How does a girl like you agree to an arranged marriage? He asked when the waiter had left. What do you mean, a girl like me? I demanded, my guard shooting back up. You know, modern, successful, etc., he said, carefully leaving out my attractiveness from the equation. His words surprised me and left my skin feeling tingly. Well, I did not agree to it. It was just that 1 minute, and I only did it to get my parents off my back, I said, drawing my drink to claim the remaining cocktails. So much for no mid-week drinking. So, but you don't believe in marriage? He asked. When did I say that? Arranged marriage? Yeah, definitely not, but I do want to get married someday. I accepted. I wondered if the alcohol had any part to play in this turn in the conversation. And how do you expect me to meet someone? He asked, displaying an odd amount of interest in my personal life. I meet plenty of people of dating apps, I said, mimicking a swiping motion with hand. He let out a dry laugh, the judgment in his tone returning as he said, dating apps, right? The latest addiction of millions. Min- Millennials. Before I could offer a retort, his phone started to ring loudly. He excused himself and walked away to receive the call. As I waited for him to return, I could not help but wonder what we must have looked like to other customers in the restaurant. Would they assume we were a couple? Perhaps we seemed like we were often on a first date, drinking together and debating our differing views on the love and life. If my life was a rom-com, this would have been a classic opposite attract story. We would have mocked and teased each other, insisting on how much we hated spending time together without realizing that we would be sitting in the restaurant past closing hours. We would have gotten drunk, bantered while we waited for our cabs, and somehow ended up getting into the first one that arrived together. But of course, none of that happened. Adar's phone call lasted for the most part of an hour. When he get back, I had definitely finished the food and was saying goodbye to Jerry. We exchanged the paperwork and went our separate ways, holding on the distance we had for each other. सो गाइस, यहाँ पे हमारा चैप्टर 5 खत्म होता है. कैसी लग रही है आपको ये बुक, प्लीज़ कमेंट करना. और अगर कोई आपकी फेवरेट बुक है तो वो भी आप कमेंट कर सकते हैं. अब तक फ़िलहाल गुड बाय, थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग.